This is the first of a new series of videos we're going to have on the channel. We have a monthly challenge. The first challenge we had, manage Leeds United for one season. I hope you enjoy the fact that we've managed to get Bielsa Ball working in Football Manager 21, and I'm going to show you just how we did it. Hey everyone, what's up? Tony here. Hope you're well. Welcome along to the channel. This is the first in a new series of videos as part of the Football Manager Therapy podcast, which I run. We have a Discord. There's a link to the Discord in the description below. Come and join us. Come and hang out. It's a good place to be. In the Discord, we have a monthly challenge where basically we throw it out to the community, and this is the first one. However, so in the first challenge we actually start managing as Leeds United with no transfers in, and the challenge was basically to see who could do the best. If this is the sort of content you're going to enjoy, please do yourself a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit a like on the video, because we're going to be dropping one of these every single month. They will obviously look at how the team performed, potentially some players to look out for, but more importantly, we're going to look at the tactics that we used and see whether or not they were a success. And the main thing we're going to look at in this save is getting Bielsa Ball working in Football Manager 21. But I suppose before we do anything, the best thing to do is take a look at the squad at the start of the season. Now, you can sell as many players as you want. You can put players up from the under-23s. That's entirely up to you. There's a couple of players in the under-23s who are pretty decent. I'm not going to tell you who they are, and I'm not going to say whether I use them or not. So if you do want to have a go at the challenge, do, of course, have a play around with it and pop some results on the comments below if you do have a go at it. It'll be interesting to see how you got on. The squad itself is pretty good, really, to be honest. So you're expecting 10th, which I guess is kind of fine, to be honest. Like, you know, you wouldn't really expect, if you're not going to add players, then I think 10th is a reasonable prediction for Leeds. Goalkeeper, pretty good. Can't really complain. Liam Cooper's a good defender. Diego Llorente is a fantastic centre-back. You got Luke Ayling, who, of course, is really, really good in real life and performing very, very well at the minute. Robin Koch is a German defender who, again, offers you an extra bit of versatility. Alioski, bit of experience in the side. Stuart Dallas. Again, what you're going to start to notice as you go through these players is the style. There's a lot of leaders and a lot of technical players, and that's really what you need at this level. I guess if you're going to sort of be one of these battling for mid-table, you want players who are going to take responsibility in the game and grab the game by the scruff of the neck. You know, particularly players like Calvin Phillips, who was fantastic for me. I know they suggest here he's a box-to-box midfielder. I actually played him in a slightly different position, which we'll go on to as we look at the tactic. Jamie Shackleton, I'll give you a little heads up, is a great player. Like, I wasn't expecting him being as good as he was. He was someone that we used throughout the course of the season. He wasn't in the starting lineup per se at the start of the season, but as the challenge progressed, he became really, really useful. Matthias Klitsch, again, another really good player who comes in, does very, very well indeed. This work rate, really good. Determination, really, really good. Teamwork, really good. Natural fitness, again, as we're going to say with the tactic, really, really important attributes there. Jack Harrison, by the way, he's on loan from Man City. A brilliant player. He's so good on this game. For me, the star man was Rafinha. He was just wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Acceleration's really good, agility's really good, dribbling, first touch. There was times when he'd drift from left into right, just pulling players across the pitch, creating space for others as they maybe get into that space, running the channels, sort of allow the wing back to run in or other players from midfield to run in behind. So he was, again, we'll talk about him as we get toward the end, just as a bit of wrap up as to how the season went. Obviously up front you've got Patrick Bamford and of course Rodrigo as well, the Spanish striker. So in terms of players, pretty decent first team squad. You know, Pablo Hernandez is in there as well, and again 35 is also a bit of experience, but still really good attributes for 35, so don't discount him straight away. So as I say, in terms of players, that's what you've got to work with. Let's have a little look and see how the squad actually got on. Predicted to finish in 10th, obviously at the start of the season. As you can see, we did a little bit better than that. We finished in 5th, which I'm very happy about, to be honest. I mean, it's still quite a way off the top teams, and even then a decent enough amount of points away from 4th, still 8 points away from 4th, but we were very solid. We were in no danger of us slipping down outside of the European spots. So really, really, really happy. Like, can't grumble with that at all. In terms of I guess let's have a look at the results. Really gives you a bit of an idea as to how we played. Started the season with a 2-2 draw against Man United. We then lost against Walsall in the cup in a classic Bielsa Ball way. We dominated the game, couldn't score unfortunately, and then lost on penalties, which is a bit of a shame. Beat Chelsea 2-1, then lost 3-2 to Liverpool. So quite a tough start. We started to get a bit of form. Beat West Ham, beat Newcastle, dropped a couple of points here against Palace and Wolves. Beat Arsenal, lost to City and Villa. But then it's this moment here from about December where things really started to click and we got a good run of form. So we went unbeaten in December. We then only lost 2 games in January, away to Tottenham and at home to Man United, beating Chelsea at this point. We then beat Liverpool, took an absolute hiding against Newcastle. I still don't know how we lost that game as badly as we did. But West Ham, Wolves then did the double over us. We turned over Palace 4-1, beat Arsenal. Again, City gave the double on us, which is a bit of a shame. Beat Villa, and then look, as you can see here, we're starting to get a bit of a run in the FA Cup going. We get to the semi-finals here. We lose to Liverpool in an absolutely crazy game, to be honest. A little bit of a hangover there, losing to Brighton. But then again, just seeing the season out, wins against Burnley, wins against Tottenham, defeat unfortunately against Leicester. But what you can see, what's really interesting, I suppose, in terms of all this, is we only drew 2 games all season, which is quite crazy. Sorry, we drew 3 games. So we won 21, we drew 3, and we lost 14. We scored 57, we conceded 52. So if we have a quick little look in terms of who did what throughout the season, Rodrigo was our top goal scorer, 16 goals in 34 matches. Rafinha, 14 and 33, 14 assists as well. Like, as I said at the start, Rafinha was absolutely fantastic and, like, seriously, a great player on the game this season. Bamford got 11 in 33. Koch got 6 in 33, as did Klitsch. Calvin Phillips weighed in with 3. Pablo Hernandez got 2, as did Dallas, Shackleton, and Luke Ayling. And then single goals from Harrison, Helder Costa, and Liam Cooper. So goal scoring probably could have done a little bit better, of course. As we say, we've scored 57, we've conceded 52. Highest average rating was our goalkeeper, which again would make sense considering we were allowing a lot of shots against ourselves. Most assists was Rafinha, and best pass completion was Liam Cooper. Now, the team stats are quite interesting. If we have a look at some of the more detailed stats, possession-wise, we had about 51% of the ball, which is reasonable. We didn't win a lot of headers. In fact, we were quite poor in terms of our heading ability. Yellow cards, picked up 60, and then we had 2 red cards. In terms of goals, 57 scored, so we were 7th top goal scorers. We were expected to finish 6th. We were expected to get 50 goals. We scored 57. Cross completion, quite low, 16%. But then again, we were working the ball at the box a little bit more than crossing it. So, of course, as you can see here, down the bottom, 16, really, 204 crosses. Not a lot. So, again, our cross completion was never going to be that high, really. Set plays, however, we did get a few goals from 8 goals from corners. Didn't score a goal from a direct free kick. We got a couple. We got 5 from indirect free kicks. Our pass completion was pretty good. It was 87%. We completed 12,394 passes throughout the season. This is really interesting. So clear-cut chances, 31, but we actually created 519 shots. So we were obviously shooting from angles that weren't particularly brilliant. 230 shots on target. So, I guess we weren't really creating huge clear-cut chances, as it says there. Shots on target is 44%. Conversion rates, 10%, which, again, isn't particularly brilliant. And shots per game, 13.66. So we were shooting, maybe we were shooting from angles that weren't particularly brilliant, but, we were having a go. The dribbles were quite high. We had 144 dribbles. Again, Rafinha, probably the guy who was doing the most of those, averaging 3.79 dribbles per game. In terms of possession lost, we lost the ball 3,206 times. Now, defensively is where we're going to need to look at next. Conceded 52 goals, as we say. We're expected to concede 61. So our expected goals conceded was obviously much worse than our actual goals conceded. So that's I guess, an improvement. We conceded 6 goals from corners. We conceded no goals from direct free kicks, 2 from indirect free kicks. Clean sheets wise, not brilliant. We only got 8. We made 367 fouls, so we were actually pretty clean as a team. We weren't giving away the free kicks as often as expected. Tackles won was really low, 706. I was expecting more. I was expecting more tackles, 75% tackle won ratio. However, blocks were high, 428. We were 9th in the league for that. Possession won. We won possession 2,704 times. We cleared the ball 2,152 times. And this is where the tactic really comes into its own. 609 times we intercepted the ball. And again, if you know anything about Bielsa Ball, that is a good metric for us to look at. In terms of penalties, we conceded 3. Shots against, look at that. We allowed 559 shots against us. Like, only Palace and West Brom allowed more shots against our team. And bear in mind that we had the 11th least amount of goals conceded. So we allowed a lot of shots, didn't actually let a lot in, and 281 of those were on target. So I think if you were to play this game for a bit longer, defense is maybe where you need to really focus, or maybe look at the tactic and tweak it a little bit. So let's see what we used, shall we? This is what we've got as Bielsa Ball. Okay, fairly standard. So 2 centre halves. The halfback is Calvin Phillips. As I said, we played him as a halfback rather than as a defensive midfielder, because description here says that they look to serve a role somewhere between that of an aggressive sweeper and a defensive midfielder. Halfback drops deeper than a standard defensive midfielder in possession and looks to offer an outlet for quickly recycling possession and to offer protection against the counter-attack. So that explains why we're intercepting the ball a lot. And obviously why our interceptions were quite high, because Phillips was obviously getting there, and whenever balls were trying to be played through, he was picking them up, and we were able to recycle possession pretty well, which again offered an extra bit of support for Cooper and Llorente at centre half. Wing backs, of course, Alioski and Stuart Dallas. Now, Stuart Dallas, on paper, isn't a wing back, right? Defender left, midfielder right, left, defender right, midfielder central, attacking midfielder. Did what we needed him to do, to be honest, and he had a great engine, got up and down the pitch all the time. He's on attack, as opposed to the other wing back here, which is on automatic. I would occasionally play around with those. I was giving Dallas a bit more license to get up, because Harrison was we'll see here, was an inverted winger, so would cut inside. And then with Alioski, I kept him on automatic because Rafinha would pick the ball up and just do his own thing, really. The box-to-box midfielder in the centre here, slightly off-centre as well. Again, would make sense because I've got a shadow striker here. So Shackleton's getting into that position here, and really occupying the space that is going to be left as Hernandez or anyone else in that role would roam around and be a bit freer. As I say, Shackleton drops in, not really seen as a box-to-box midfielder, but has a good engine about him, gets up and down the pitch, and did pretty well. I also swapped him. Sometimes I had Dallas in there, and then maybe I'd sort of swap down to Ayling on the wing back here. So Ayling would go there, Dallas would then drop into that mid there, and then of course you've got that little link up play. So Dallas is going all over the place. Phillips is here, just holding off possession. Hernandez would sometimes be swapped maybe with Bamford, if I put Bamford there, and then can put Rodrigo there if needs be as well, just to mix things up, to be honest, just because there is a bit of versatility in the squad. You can actually do that, and that's quite handy. Of course, up top, Harrison here, inverted wingers. Again, quite good for Bielsa Ball because they like players to cut inside, dragging their fullbacks inside, which allows the wing backs to get up and add an extra bit of threat. Harrison here doing really, really well. And of course, Rafinha on the other side loves it. He dribbles into the ball more, cuts inside with the ball, and you'll see there's so many times he runs like that, and that just allowed Rodrigo to move here, or Bamford to move here, or drop back if needs be. Dallas can potentially get in there, and it just created us so much space. I started off on balanced mentality. Well, actually, I started off on positive mentality, which is kind of the right way you should have for the tactic. positive or attacking. However, it is a little bit gung-ho, so you can be a bit more reserved with it, change it to balanced, and you get a little bit more defensive solidity. But if you want to go all guns blazing, go attacking, and it's a great tactic to watch. In terms of how it plays, wide attacking width, if you were to be 100% replication, probably go extremely wide. But again, on Football Manager, maybe go just wide, so it allows players to get a bit of chalk on their boots as they're up and coming, the wing backs particularly as they're coming round. And again, you can always then stretch the play to extremely wide as opposition are tiring if you want to try and create a bit more space. As you can see here, you've got the overlaps on, you're playing the ball out of defence, you want to pass the ball into space. We've got hit early crosses on, which kind of was more for the wing backs because, of course, your inverted wingers are moving inside. Shoot on sight is quite decent particularly for the shadow striker here, and maybe occasionally your box-to-box midfielder gets a good shot, or if the wingers are coming inside, they'll also spot something as well. Work the ball to box again is also quite a decent instruction. We obviously want the players to be expressive, high tempo, and a standard passing directness. In terms of transition, no prizes really. Counter press all the way and counter attacking. All about energy. This tactic, if you lose the ball, you want to get it back really quickly. So counter press on, and of course you will see on the next page that the intensity is high as well. Distribute the ball to centre backs and just take short kicks in terms of distribution. What I've done is I've really stretched the pitch, so low line of engagement and a high line of engagement. So low defensive line allows you these two centre backs to stay low. If you were being like true to the tactic, you play with a high defensive line, but there's not really a lot of pace in those two centre halves. So for the game, I dropped it a little bit lower, allowing, of course, Calvin Phillips to get back and help out, and of course the wing backs are doing what the wing backs do, and then that high line of engagement really sort of forces the issue up top, particularly limiting distribution, which of course you're going to try and do here, prevent goalkeeper distribution being short, get stuck in, and then of course get that intensity really, really high, tight marking as well. Again, you could argue that you could use the offside trap, but offside trap doesn't really work particularly well in Football Manager this year, so I would probably leave it off. But if you do want to do that, then you can, of course, you can move standard or higher line if you wish. There was also another sort of slight tweak on the tactic, which is a bit more of a 3-4-3. So you could maybe play it this way, maybe move Rodrigo out there because, of course, he wouldn't be a defender. You could, of course, play with three at the back if you want to play it that way. So that's quite a nice little formation as well. Maybe move Phillips and Dallas. You can switch between a DLP and a Mazzala. Probably play Phillips more as the DLP personally, and let Dallas do the running. So again, that's another sort of idea on what Bielsa would do. A little bit more solid at the back, and again, I suppose theoretically also still slightly more attacking. It's a better shape really. Also positive again mentality, and then the third way of looking at the tactic was a bit more streamlined and straight down the middle, to be honest. So Phillips again in that DLP role, more of a DLP than a halfback, and Dallas just as a centre midfielder just in front. Unfortunately, that leaves you pretty exposed here, but decent enough for if you're playing away from home and you want to try and grind out a result. Good defensive setup, and obviously look to play on the counter. So that's how Bielsa Ball looks in Football Manager 21. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please drop a like on it. Do drop a comment below as well, particularly if you're going to take Leeds for a season. Let me know how you get on. I'd be interested to see how the tactic works for you, and any potential tweaks if you want to see, or things that you've picked up on that we might need to have another look at. Please do drop me in the comments below. As I say, subscribe to the channel because we're going to be doing this every single month, breaking down how we got on with a different team. The next challenge is actually Wycombe Wanderers, so it's a completely different challenge to Leeds. As I say, we've got so many stuff on the channel as well. We've got a tier 10 save, we've got a Journeyman save, and I stream on Twitch. So do, of course, have a little look at all the links below, and of course the podcast Football Manager Therapy link in the description below as well. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you all very soon. Take care, and we'll see you in a little bit for another tactical breakdown on the Football Manager Therapy Discord monthly challenge.